Everyone says investing in property is the key to wealth, right? But the harsh reality is it might not actually be for you. And if you're not careful, it might end up costing you more than it might actually be making you. And in this video, I'm going to break down why it might not actually be for you. Number one is lack of time. Now, property investing is just about buying a house and renting it out. There's a lot of hours that goes into negotiation, finding the deal, speaking with builders, speaking with letting agents, estate agents, and also due diligence, which is very important. And if you're busy at work, or if you've got family commitments, or what if life just gets in the way in general, because it does, that happens. I mean, where are you going to find the time to do all of that? The truth is, most people, they don't, and they ended up making either rush decisions, or they end up making, worst of all, no decision at all. And I see this often in people. Like, I'll speak with them, they say they want to invest in property, and then 6 months down the line I'll speak with them again, and they'll say, no, I've just been busy, I've been caught up doing this and XYZ. And that's just typical with a lot of people, and you don't want to be in that position. Making rush decisions actually leads us into our second reason, and that is lack of knowledge. Now, I was speaking with an investor of mine who came to me because he wanted to help. He wanted me to help him build a property portfolio. Now, he said to me that he'd bought a property about a year ago, and the property seemed perfect on paper, and he actually had his own tenants. But what he didn't realize is that he purchased a property in an area of high crime rate, and 6 months later, after he bought the property, the tenants actually ended up leaving, and they left the property in a serious, poor, damaged condition. And the money that he spent on repairs to actually get those fixed was more than the money that he made in 6 months of owning the property. So he said to me, say, George, I've actually sold that property now. And pretty much he said to me that he needed me to help him find a property that A, is in a low crime rate area, which was important for me from his experience, was B, in a good area, was in an area where he can get those high returns, and in an area where those capital appreciation. So the question you have to ask yourself is, have you done the right research to make sure you're actually buying a property in the right area? You're not just blindly buying property, because at that point you're just gambling. And the next one is underestimating or overlooking the hidden costs. Now, when you're buying a property, you're going to pay what's called stamp duty. Now, stamp duty has just been increased from 3 to 5%, and that's essentially just a tax that you have to pay to the government. For example, if you're buying £100,000 house, you're going to be paying £5,000 extra just to the government. The second is legal fees. Now, legal fees will cost you typically around £1,500. And you'll also want to get a survey. Now, a survey is between £300 to £500, and a survey will just allow you to see any underlying issues that are in the property that maybe you want to go back and renegotiate, or maybe you might make a decision if you actually want to keep the property at all. Next is refurb costs. Now, you want to be really careful with your refurb costs, because that can really have an effect on your total return on investment if you've not calculated for some things. So if you get into a property and you realize that maybe it needs a new boiler, or maybe the carpets need doing, but you didn't factor into that, then that might actually end up costing you in the long run. Next is your cash flow. So let's say your rent is £1,000. What you want to do is you want to minus the mortgage payments, minus the management fees, which is typically around 12%. And then also you want to put an extra 10% away every single month for maintenance or any voids that may occur. So you need to ask yourself, have I taken all these things into consideration before making an offer on the property? Lastly is finding great deals. Now, most people tend to find great deals on Rightmove, Zoopla, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. However, the issue with that is if you're viewing it online, so is everybody else, and that just drives up competition. And you often enter bidding wars, which is not a position that you want to be in as an investor. The amount of times that I've called an estate agent and I've put an offer on a property and they've said, yeah, we've got 5 other offers on that, yeah, last and final offers today, you don't want to be that. Instead, you want to find off-market properties where they're more exclusive to you, you've got more negotiating power, and also you can get that bargain deal if you're good at negotiating. And even then, you need to know how to negotiate, because the sellers are always going to want the highest price for the property. So you need to ask yourself, do I know how to position my offer in the highest way possible and in the most effective way possible to get a seller to go with my offer? So as you can see, investing in property isn't just about buying a property and renting it out. There's a lot that goes into it, from strategy to planning to execution, and knowing how to navigate your way through the possible pitfalls. And if you're serious about building wealth through property, it's worth taking the time out to really get it right. I hope this has given you something to think about moving forward, and hopefully you can use this video to avoid any pitfalls that might happen in the future. And if you're taking information out there, make sure you're taking from somebody who is reliable. And if you have any questions, feel free to put it down in the comment section. I'll be there to answer.